Okay, take two. I recorded this video and I forgot to turn the camera around. Hey guys, thank you for coming back to my channel. My name is Olivia and today's video is about my tattoos. I actually got a comment on my Instagram from an account under the name Maisa, right here. They asked if I could make a video about my tattoos and I am more than happy to do that. I don't have very many. I believe I only have 4. One of them I'm not going to show because it is on my lower back, and I don't feel comfortable showing that one. The other ones I'll show y'all. Let's start with this one here. This one says, "She flies with her own wings." It's the only tattoo I have with words or lettering, and this was my very first tattoo. I got this one when I was, I believe, 18. I had just turned 18. My birthday's in November, so I believe I got it in December, maybe the end of November. Yeah, and I called my dad. I was hanging out with my boyfriend at the time and his sister and her husband. I was telling them how I really wanted a tattoo and I was 18 and I could do whatever I wanted. So I called my dad and I asked him, "Hey Dad, so can I get a tattoo?" And I asked because, for one, I'm the baby girl. For 2, out of respect because I live under their roof. I was still a teenager, so I asked. And this wasn't the first time I'd asked. I'd asked my parents for the past like 2 or 3 years, and it was constant after turning 18. So that particular evening, my dad was like, "Oh my gosh, do whatever you want. I'm tired of telling you." So I did. I went with them to a tattoo parlor in downtown Austin called, what was it called? True Blue Tattoo, with a man named Corey. He was really nice and I was really nervous. He was super kind and super nice. He no longer works there. He actually moved up northwest, I believe. Anyways, so I went and I picked my tattoo as I'm waiting because I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get a tattoo today because he'll take it back if I don't. I'll never get his permission again. So I picked one on Pinterest, and this one fit me most because I was always considered the independent one and the rebel child and the one that did whatever she wanted. And I was like the black sheep of the family, but not necessarily like the black sheep either. I was just more of the rebellious one, and I just independent. I don't even think it was rebellion. It was just, I was very independent. The next tattoo that I got was one that I'm actually not going to show. It's on my lower back, and I got it with my sister. It is in the shape of Texas. It's just the outline of Texas. And I've been needing to get that filled in with the tornado because my family, again, because I was the rebellious one or the independent one, called me Texas Tornado like my whole childhood. My next tattoo, I will insert a picture of it here. This one I got when I was 23. I had just started dating my fiance. His name is Eli, by the way. So I had just started dating Eli and we decided that we would get tattoos together. I know that sounds insane. We were only dating probably a couple months. And I don't typically, I don't have any tattoos with anybody else that I've dated. So I don't typically make those types of decisions, but I wanted a tattoo, and it ended up being where he wanted a tattoo too, and we ended up getting matching tattoos. As you saw, I have a Triceratops tattoo on my inner ankle on my right foot, and he has a T-Rex tattoo on his inner ankle on his right foot. Yeah, we both really like dinosaurs, and specifically I relate to Sarah from Littlefoot. I don't know why that took me forever to remember. Only because, not even now, I used to be more, not mean, but growing up I had this very tough exterior, but was very emotional and very just inside like a mushy gushy person. And now, you know, you grow up and you change, things change, you blossom, and I'm now very much, that tough exterior is completely gone unless needed. But yeah, I'm very emotional. I'm a very emotional person. Sarah is who I related to. And yeah, so I have a Triceratops tattoo, my next tattoo. So I have this cactus. I don't know if you can see it. With Texas pinwheels, blue bonnets, a cactus here with the cactus blossoms and the tunas. I thought these were Indian paintbrushes, but I was told these are Indian paintbrushes. These are Texas pinwheels. So I got this tattoo because, oh, I'm getting hot. 1 second. Okay, it's very hot. And I get hot easily. I prefer the cold, and I'm in Texas. It's hot. So this tattoo is very special and has a lot of meaning to it. So if you don't know, I am a product of immigration. If this is a topic that you are uncomfortable with or you disagree with, which doesn't make sense to me, but I suggest that you exit out of this video and either watch something more uplifting. I've got other I have makeup videos that if you want to watch, but for right now I'm going to talk about where I come from. So I'm a product of immigration, not first generation. So I'm currently editing this video and I realized that maybe I got a phone call or something, but a smidge of this video was not recorded. So I just want to quickly say I am not, oh, and maybe I can show my tattoo better. So these are the Indian paintbrush flowers. Actually, it's only one. This is the Indian paintbrush I was pointing at earlier. This is the cactus with the blooms, the tunas. Here is a blue bonnet, and right here is a blue bonnet, and then there's another one. And these are the Texas pinwheels. What I was trying to say here was I'm not first generation, but I am second generation to be born here. My grandparents on my dad's side, my abuelita and my abuelito, they did cross over when they were younger. My abuelito, I loved him. As you'll see here in a little bit, he also shined shoes as well, and I miss him dearly. I wanted to include that just so that y'all know, but we will get back to the video. And although it's not just one person, I do have one person in mind because he's the one that I remember most vividly, my grandpa Chema. His name was Jose Maria Garcia. He is my grandfather's father, and from what I remember about him, I always get emotional talking about him. Everybody loved my grandpa Chema. He was very sweet and very kind and would always give all of his grandchildren like $1 or $2 to get a ice cream cone at the Dairy Queen down the street. And he never yelled, he never got mad. He had this boastful laugh, this laugh that, oh, so cute. He crossed over from Mexico when he was 12 years old by himself, in order to try to make a better life for himself so that he could come and work and send money to his family. So he was 12 years old when he crossed, and he got a job shining shoes on the streets, and that was what he did for a living for many, I mean not many years, but for a couple good years, until he was old enough to get a job, you know, where he could bring in more money. So that meant later on that he became a migrant worker, and he got married, and he had my grandfather, and he had many children. And you know, that type of work stuck for several generations. My parents, both my parents, were migrant workers if you don't know what a migrant worker is, that is someone who works in the fields, who picks the lettuce that you eat, who picks the oranges that you eat, who picks all of the onions, the potatoes, the tomatoes, I already said tomatoes, grapefruits, lemons, strawberries, blueberries. All of your produce is picked primarily by migrant workers. And my parents were migrant workers. My parents traveled back and forth from South Texas to Idaho to Mississippi to different states, and their schooling was different than the type of school that I believe we're all used to where they would attend school, like, so their jobs were seasonal. So they would go to school in South Texas for however many months, and then they would go to school in whatever state that they would go to for however many months. And when I say they would go to school, it was usually night school because they had to work during the day. They had to pick cotton or pick beets. My mom hates beets. I never saw a beet in my life until like a couple months ago. She hates beets. Onions, you know, so they would have to go to school in the evenings. So that's just to kind of give more education on that, because I know I work with people who had no idea what it meant to be a migrant worker, who had no idea what went into it and why it was so bad. They looked down on parents who were pulling their kids out of school. But you know, it's not that education wasn't important. It's just feeding you and keeping you alive is more important, you know? So anyways, I'm kind of getting off track, but my parents were migrant workers. I never had to work in a field. My sister never had to work in a field. My brother, my Lord, he's even more privileged than we are, you know? Because my grandpa Chema decided to cross over from Mexico into the United States and make a life for himself, I am sitting here in a room that is only for me, with AC, with food in the refrigerator, more food in the refrigerator than we need. You know, I'm able to have this channel where I can buy makeup that's not necessary. These are first world things, first world privileges, because my grandfather decided to cross the border, because my grandparents decided to cross the border. I am able to have a college education. I have a wonderful job, and I couldn't be more blessed. I really couldn't. So my tattoo is in honor of that. You know, if you're not aware of Operation Identification, it's a program through Texas State University where they go and they recover human remains from the border of South Texas, because a lot of people who cross over, they do not make it. It's so hot. Right now it's 103 degrees outside Central Texas where I live. And I live on a hill where I get really good wind. South Texas, it's hotter. It's not desert like sand and cracks in the ground. I mean, there are cracks in the ground because it's so dry, but it's dry grassland. There's, you know, tumbleweeds like what you think Texas is. There are tumbleweeds because it's dry. There's mesquite, which are like bushes with just big thorns. Literally, if you have seen Apocalypto, there's a scene where he like fillets a frog. I think maybe he doesn't fillet it, but he pokes the frog, this venomous frog, with mesquite, like with these needles from mesquite, and like he like spits them at people and they die. Anyways, that's what I think about. But that's what mesquite is, and or mesquite, and it's just dry. You know, there's not supposed to be life. There's not supposed to be beautiful things in the desert because it's so dry, and there's just this constant drought. But cactuses are there, and they bloom these beautiful flowers, and you'll still see bluebonnets blooming there. and you'll still see Texas pinwheels blooming there, and you'll still see Texas native flowers still blooming and still thriving, just like my grandfather did, just like my grandparents. How my life is because of them, despite their struggles, and despite immigrants not being wanted, I have a beautiful life because of them. So that's all I have for y'all about my tattoos. I do plan on getting a 3/4 sleeve done at least, but with COVID, we are very aware and trying to make sure we're doing as little as possible. Whoa, that's not right. We're trying to make sure we're doing as much as we can to limit how much we interact with the outside world. To be honest, we go to the grocery store, we do pick up food every now and then, but yeah, we limit our social activities. And getting a tattoo right now for us, actually, my opinion is getting tattoos are not necessary. So anyways, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Sorry, there was a hair on me. I am more than happy to give any answers to any questions. And thank you for spending your time with me. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.